Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that you sent over.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's a research paper called Return of the Encoder, Maximizing Parameter Efficiency for SLMs.
Right.
And basically, it's all about how to get the most out of small language models, especially on our devices.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff, and I think it's really going to change how we think about AI on, like, smartphones and that sort of thing.
I think so too. We're so focused now on these huge models like ChatGPT.
Right, like the decoder-only models.
Exactly. But this paper really makes you wonder if we should be giving encoder-decoder models a second look.
Yeah, I mean, we always hear that bigger is better when it comes to AI,
Yeah, for sure.
but this research is saying that's not always the case, right?
Definitely not, especially
Right.
when you're dealing with smaller language models.
Okay, so let's dive into that a bit more.
Sure.
What did the researchers actually find when they looked at these encoder-decoder models?
Well, they found that for smaller language models, those with 1 billion parameters or fewer,
Yeah.
encoder-decoder architectures are significantly more efficient.
More efficient. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. But what does that actually mean for, everyday users like me? What's the real-world impact of that?
So think about it this way. You're trying to use an AI assistant on your phone, and it's taking like forever to respond.
Yeah.
With this encoder-decoder architecture, you could be getting those answers like way faster, almost twice as fast,
Really?
up to 47% faster response times. That's what we're talking about.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, no more waiting around for the AI to think. That would be awesome.
It would be a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. But it sounds like there's even more to it than just speed.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
What else did they find?
They also found a pretty massive increase in throughput.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we're talking 4.7x higher throughput.
So what does that mean exactly?
It means those models can handle a lot more tasks at the same time,
Oh.
and they don't get all bogged down.
So they're faster and they're multitasking masters.
Got it.
That's amazing, especially when you consider just how limited the computing power is on, like, most mobile devices.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. But I have to ask, what's the secret here?
Right.
Why are these encoder-decoders so much more efficient than those decoder-only models that everyone's been talking about?
Well, it comes down to how they actually process information.
Okay.
Decoder-only models, they have to reprocess the input every single time they generate an output.
Huh.
It's like reading the same paragraph over and over again just to write a new sentence.
Oh, gosh, that sounds exhausting.
It is, at least computationally speaking.
Yeah, I bet.
Now, encoder-decoders, they take a totally different approach.
Okay.
They process the input just once at the beginning,
Ah.
and that creates like a fixed representation of the information.
So they kind of do all the hard work up front and then work with that condensed understanding.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah, it's like they read the paragraph once and like get the main idea.
Yeah. And then they can use that knowledge to write more smoothly and efficiently. That's a great analogy. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
So it's all about that separation between understanding and generation, right? Between the encoder and the decoder.
That's a key part of why they're so efficient. Yeah.
It's like having specialized teams working within the model,
Right.
each one focused on their own specific task.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see why that would be so important for these environments where you just don't have a lot of resources to work with.
It makes a big difference.
Absolutely. But now, to take things a step further, the researchers also used a technique called knowledge distillation.
Right.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? What is knowledge distillation?
Well, basically, they trained these smaller encoder-decoder models
Yeah.
using the knowledge from much larger decoder-only models.
So it's like the small models are getting a crash course from the AI superstars.
Exactly. They're learning from the best.
Okay.
And the results were really impressive. This distillation process actually gave the smaller models a pretty big performance boost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in some cases, they performed up to 6 points better on different tasks.
That's remarkable. So we have these smaller, more efficient models,
Right.
but thanks to this knowledge transfer, they can still keep up with the big guys.
That's the idea.
That's incredible.
Hmm.
But is this just about text-based AI, or are there applications for images and other types of data too?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Mhm.
So we've been talking about text, but these encoder-decoders can actually shake things up in the world of vision language AI too.
Oh, wow. So, like, what would that look like in practice?
Well, imagine tasks like image captioning,
Okay.
where the AI has to look at an image and then write a description of what it sees.
Okay.
Or think about an AI assistant
Yeah.
that can answer your questions about a picture. You show it.
So it's not just about text in, text out anymore. It's
Exactly.
about bridging the gap between images and text. That's
Right.
pretty cool.
And the way that encoder-decoders are structured with those separate processing stages,
Yeah.
it actually makes them a really good fit for handling these more complex multimodal scenarios.
That makes sense. They have different parts of the model that are specifically designed for processing visual information, for processing text information,
Exactly.
and then for generating that final output.
Exactly. It's like having the right tool for each job.
I like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do they actually adapt the encoder-decoder model to handle images?
Well, they add what's called a vision
The
encoder.
vision encoder.
Yeah, you can think of it like a specialist
Okay.
that's trained to extract meaningful information from images.
Oh, okay. So now we've got our text encoder,
Right.
our text decoder,
Yep.
and our brand new vision encoder.
Yeah, they're all working together.
Cool. But wouldn't processing all that information from images make the model less efficient?
That's a great question. And the researchers actually looked at ways to compress that visual information
Oh, okay.
to make the model even more efficient.
So they really thought of everything.
Hmm.
But hold on. If these encoder-decoder models are so great, so efficient, and so versatile,
Yeah.
why aren't they more popular already? Why is everyone so focused on those massive decoder-only models?
You know, it's a good point, and it really reflects how AI research has been done for years.
Yeah.
The focus has been on scaling up models bigger and bigger.
More parameters, more data, more computing power.
Exactly. And to be fair, that approach has led to some amazing breakthroughs.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like those mind-blowing language models we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But this research shows us that bigger isn't always better,
Right.
especially when you're talking about actually using these models in real-world applications.
Right, because in the real world, you don't always have all that computing power just sitting around.
Exactly. And sometimes a smarter architecture, even with fewer parameters, can be a more practical and effective solution.
Especially for running AI on everyday devices.
Right.
It's not always about brute force. Sometimes it's about being clever and finding that right balance between performance and efficiency.
Absolutely. And this research makes a strong case that encoder-decoders might be the way to go.
So finding that sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Between brain power and efficiency.
Exactly.
It sounds like we're at a crossroads in AI development right now.
It does feel that way.
On one hand, we have these massive models that are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Right.
But on the other hand, we have these smaller, more efficient models
Yeah.
that could actually make AI a part of our everyday lives.
And the exciting thing is they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Right.
The researchers even showed how we can use techniques like knowledge distillation to transfer knowledge from those large models to smaller, more efficient ones.
So we can have the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
That's really cool. The power of large models combined with the efficiency of the encoder-decoder architecture.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
It's really mind-blowing, honestly.
Yeah.
We've gone from talking about the basics of encoder-decoders
Right.
to how they could revolutionize AI assistants,
Mm-hmm.
and even how they could help us tackle those multimodal tasks.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away thinking about the future,
Oh.
let's step back and look at some of the nitty-gritty details of this research.
Okay. Sounds good.
So when they were testing these encoder-decoder models, did the researchers just focus on performance, or did they look at how efficient they were on different hardware?
Oh, they definitely tested efficiency across different platforms.
Okay.
You know, like powerful GPUs, standard CPUs, and even those specialized chips they put in mobile devices, the NPUs.
Ah, the neural processing units, right.
Exactly.
Those are made specifically for AI tasks on our phones and stuff.
Exactly. And the results were pretty consistent across all the platforms.
Oh, cool.
And encoder-decoder models, they always outperformed those decoder-only models.
Interesting.
Yeah, they had faster response times.
That's what we call latency, right?
Exactly.
And then they could also handle more tasks at the same time, that throughput. So it's not just a theoretical advantage then.
No, not at all.
A real-world improvement that could actually make a difference for people.
For sure. And it brings up a really important point.
Okay.
As we start using AI on more and more devices.
Yeah, like everything from tiny sensors to huge servers.
Exactly. That architectural efficiency is going to become even more important.
Yeah, it's like we can't just keep throwing more computing power at every problem, right?
You got it. Especially when we're talking about things like smartphones and wearables.
Yeah, with limited resources.
Right. We need models that are not only intelligent, but also really efficient and adaptable.
And this research suggests that encoder-decoders might be the answer
It could be the key.
to finding that sweet spot, right?
Right.
Between brain power and efficiency.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious, Do the researchers explore any applications beyond just text and images?
They did. They even talked about the potential for encoder decoders for things like reasoning and problem solving.
Whoa. So we're not just talking about AI that understands language or pictures.
Nope.
We're talking about AI that can actually think and reason like we do.
Well, it's still early days,
Sure.
but the way encoder decoders are structured.
Yeah, with that clear separation between understanding and generation.
It makes them well suited for tackling those higher level cognitive tasks.
It's like you could have different modules within the model for different parts of reasoning,
Right.
like logic or planning, maybe even common sense reasoning.
Exactly. And you combine those modules with techniques like knowledge distillation.
Yeah,
And you might end up with AI systems that are not only super intelligent, but also incredibly efficient.
that's an amazing vision of the future of AI.
It is pretty exciting.
It sounds like this research is changing how we think about building intelligent systems.
I think so. It definitely challenges the status quo
For sure.
and makes us rethink our assumptions about model size and complexity.
Because sometimes the most elegant solutions are the most powerful ones.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
from the basics of encoder decoders
Mm-hmm.
to their potential to completely change AI assistants,
Yeah,
multimodal applications,
for sure.
and maybe even how we approach AI reasoning itself.
It's exciting stuff.
It is. It's mind-blowing. And for you, our listener, the takeaway is this.
Okay.
As AI keeps evolving, it's important to look beyond the hype and understand what's really driving progress.
I agree with that.
Because it's not just about building bigger models, it's about building smarter ones.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that's what we've explored today on the Deep Dive.
It was a good one.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of AI.